So one of the things I found when I really started to get into using Blender was that I really wanted to make some animations where there was some convincing effects happening, like fire and smoke and explosions and stuff. And it's no secret that making those things happen it's really hard. It requires a lot of time and patience learning how these systems and things work. I caught myself thinking the other day, it'd be great if you could just sort of drag and drop these things easily into Blender, because sometimes this effect isn't front and center right in front of the camera. Sometimes it's way back in your scene, it's in the background somewhere. It's not going to be interrogated quite so closely by your viewers as they might think. To that end, I've been working on a bunch of asset packs. There's a couple so far that I can show you. They are fire and smoke effects at the moment, but I'm working on a whole bunch of sort of sparks and magic and debris, shattering glass, gore, all that good stuff. And I'm going to be releasing these things as packs of 10 to 12, keeping the costs right down, sort of around the $10 area. And it's all going to be modular as well. You don't buy a massive load of effects, you just buy sort of 10 to 12 at a time. Plug them into Blender and they show up in your asset library. So I'm going to show you a couple of those now, and I'll show you how they work. It's actually really, really simple. So first things first, we're going to go into Edit and Preferences. We're going to look at our file path down here. Mine's already set up, so I'm going to remove it and add it back in. I'm going to tell Blender to look at a folder, and that folder is going to contain the bits and pieces that make up our assets. On my D drive, I've got Blender Asset Library here, VFXBox. I tell Blender to look at this folder by saying Add Asset Library. So it shows up in here, it's picked up the name of that folder. I'm going to hit Save Preferences and close it down. Prepared a quick scene. We've got a ground plane, an object, a cube, and Sandra, my business lady. And just something nice and simple. Switch into a rendered mode there. I've cut out, where is it? Background, yeah, background's off. So the only light source in the scene currently is this thing. Move that around, yeah. So in theory, if we're dragging these fire assets in, it should light up the scene. So to get to your asset library, if you've never used it before, let's split the view here. And turn this one into an asset browser. Because Blender's now looking inside that folder, it finds a blend file that's got the assets already set up inside it. So we've got one set of fire, one set of smoke. Let's drag one in. Let's go with this guy. So pick him up, drag him into your scene. And there he is. Let's move him back a bit, move him over to the side, zoom in on that a little bit. So you'll see that it's an image plane, doesn't have any sort of 3D data about it, but what it does have is an animated material that's already set up. When you have got this plane selected, down in your timeline you've got two keyframes here. One of the things that I always had trouble getting my head around was telling an animation when to start and stop when it was an animated texture inside a Blender. But that's all set up with these. So each one has got a set of keyframes that describe the beginning and the end of the animation. So with that in mind, we can go to a certain point in the animation. Let's say we're here. Get our keyframes. If I shunt these over to the right, it means that our animation is going to start later. So in theory, if we go past the playhead here, then it hasn't begun yet. As the animation plays, that's where it starts. What we can also do is move the ending of the animation. So if we bring this closer in here, it means that as a whole, our animated texture is going to play back faster. Which means you can retime these animations to be faster or slower. I would say don't make them much slower because you're going to end up with holding frames and stuff. Let's bring this guy back over here. And let's throw a few more in the scene. Let's get to a point where we've got some fire lighting it up. Here we go. And let's pop a bit of smoke/steam in there. Here we go. If I grab this in front, this smoke's already set up to be sort of semi-translucent, semi-transparent. It's not perfect, because that could be quite hard to do, but you can dive into these materials and mess around with them yourself. Lovely organised, tidy nodes there. Don't judge me. So if we get rid of this, let's pop a few more of these guys in. I can grab this guy, send him back behind Sandra the business lady, scale him up a bit. See how the lighting's affecting everything. This only happens in cycles. If we are in Eevee or in the the preview mode of Eevee, we get lovely quick playback, but the lighting isn't going to be accurate. Now, I don't think you get emissions happening in Eevee, but it's a nice way to tell if the timing of things is working. In cycles, because it's calculating all those light bounces, it's going to play back pretty slowly. Well, that's not too bad actually. The more of these you drag into your scene, the slower it's going to get, depending on how powerful your machine that is. Yeah, it's starting to get a little choppy there, but still, it serves a purpose. So yeah, these guys are the fire effects. These ones are available right now. These smoke effects will be coming out in, I don't know, a day or so. Maybe I'll release them tomorrow. The idea is, as the project goes on, and this is an ongoing project by the way, each pack is going to receive updates. So I'm going to find better ways to shade these materials. Probably come up with a few options as well as far as playback quality versus quality. Playback speed versus quality. Maybe give you a few options for different resolutions of the textures as well. Each asset in each library is going to have tags, so it'll be searchable. If you're in the middle of a project and you need some Steam, you could type Steam and it'll give you these guys. But the asset browser seems to be like a bit of a moving target at the moment, so I've not been able to get some of these things to follow over when I install it on a fresh copy of Blender. So the tags might disappear randomly, but I'm working on that. So as for where you can get these from, there's a link to my Gumroad on this video. It's also available on my main website, which is vfxbox.store, and on that website, if I show you real quick, so you can easily see a little link here. It's just a link to the first one that's been released. I will have like a whole section of the website that is dedicated to just showing you these Blender asset packs. If you do more than just Blender, this project came from my original project, which is just making visual effects assets for compositors. So all of the source files that these animated textures come from are available in 4K as, if I just show you this one here. So they're available as ProRes 444s with alpha. It also has flipbooks for use in Unreal and Unity as well. So I've had a few game devs using them in their game engines, and they seem to work really well actually. I've had some pretty good feedback. We've also got full-on 4K EXRs as well. So if you really want to put the top quality stuff, you can just feed these EXR sequences into Blender as well. Or if you're an After Effects nut or a Nuke nut, you can just bring them into there and track them into your footage, which is what I've been doing on a few projects for people as well. So they're really like a multi-use animated texture really, but the ones I'm talking to you about right now are the ones that we use directly inside of Blender. So on top of that, you can buy these things singly, or one of the options is I've set up a Patreon. And one of these tiers that's available basically gives you full access to every asset that I make. So you could have a library of VFX assets that you can download as and when you need them. So yeah, that's my project. I'm working on loads more. If you've got any ideas of different effects that would be useful to you in Blender, let me know, because I'm currently looking for ideas on what to focus on next. I think the next lot's going to be standing fire and standing smoke loops. So that would be something that you could drag in and it would be set to loop and would just run forever basically. So really good for background stuff. Or say there's a forest on fire and you want some animated fire on the tree trunks to just loop all the way through your animation. It'd be stuff like that. Feed me ideas, because I'm hungry for ideas and I want to figure out how to make this stuff and then bundle it up for people to use. It'd be really interesting to see what people make with it. Cool, hit me with your questions.